Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again with another video today. Happy Sunday, everyone, and today we're going to be doing a mock draft, 12 team standard from the 8th position. Now, the roster positions are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex, kicker, defense, and a bench spot. And today we're on Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard, not Sleeper, like the other videos. Boom. Alright, so as we begin here, we can tell the normal 4 go off at the beginning. We got Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and then followed by Melvin Gordon, DJ, DeAndre Hopkins. You can see in any order coming out. And we are pick 8 overall out of 12, and we are in a standard league. And in standard, in my opinion, you need to be getting a solid running back in standard because you're not getting the points per catch. Per reception, as they like to call it, PPR. So, James Conner right here would be that guy. I think James Conner is going to get a shit ton of touches this year, even though he said that it's going to be more. Jalen Samuels is going to get some touches, but I think James Conner is going to end up being the workhorse, just like he was last year. So I think this is an easy pick here. It was between him or Le'Veon Bell. I don't want any receivers in standard early. So we're going to draft James Conner here. After we selected James Conner, Patrick Mahomes, first quarterback off the board, followed by Le'Veon Bell, DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon, Julio Jones, Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, the biggest thing I want to point out here is Mahomes. If you're going to pick Mahomes this early, I think you're just pretty stupid. I think you don't need a quarterback this early. And even if you're going to take a Mahomes early, I think you need to wait until at least the 3rd or 4th round. Pick him in the 1st round, in my opinion, is just stupid. And I would highly advise against that because the disparity between Mahomes and Luck or say Deshaun Watson every week is not as much as the disparity between some guys like Zeke and like Dalvin Cook or Marlon Mack, stuff like that. So, yeah. And now it's our 2nd pick here. And we're going to be looking all the best running backs are gone in my opinion, except for Gurley. Also, I got to point out Gurley. Do not draft Gurley at all until you know exactly what's up with his left or right knee. I would not draft him. Same thing with Nick Chubb. While I like him, I would not draft him because I believe that if once Kareem Hunt gets back, then it's gonna be running back by committee, and you don't want that on your team. So now it's our pick, and now that all the good running backs are gone, I think we're gonna have to go with a receiver. I normally always wait to pick a tight end till later in the draft, and that's just my opinion. I made a video where you pick Travis Kelce early, and you get to see the disparity between how your team looks with a tight end early and with one later. So I'd suggest watching that video. But in this position, normally I go running back heavy, but I don't really like these running backs, and I think whoever follows me, I can just pick him. So we're gonna go with the receiver, and the best receiver on the board here, Michael Thomas, Juju. Looking at these two, and I think we're gonna go Juju here. No, we can't go Juju because we already have Le'Veon Bell, so we're gonna go Michael Thomas here. I like Juju. I think Juju could end up being the number 1 in fantasy, just like how AB has been multiple years because of strictly just because Big Ben I think is gonna pepper him with targets, and I also I also think Michael Thomas could also be the one at the end of the year. There's like 2 guys. I think it could either be Hopkins, Adams, Thomas, or Juju or Julio. I don't think Odell is gonna be the number 1 at the end of the year, but that doesn't mean that I would necessarily not pick him. So we're gonna go with Michael Thomas here. After we pick Michael Thomas, Kelce off the board immediately. After Kelce, Dalvin Cook, Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Evans, Damian Williams, Antonio Brown, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is quite the reach there, in my opinion. Okay, so after Aaron Jones, Zach Ertz, the 2nd tight end, has been selected. I noticed that in a lot of drafts, that once someone picks a tight end like Kelce, then Ertz and Kittel will follow pretty close because people like to have the top 3 tight ends on their team. Okay, so after Ertz, Leonard Fournette, Kerryon Johnson, Devonta Freeman, Marlon Mack, AJ Green, Adam Thielen. Now, at this point in the draft, we're looking at receivers or running backs. And I don't really like a lot of these running backs here. I think they have higher risk than a safer option at receiver. But the later you go in the draft, the more likely it is that a running back busts. There's a chart that shows that I could bring up in a different video. But so, and we also have a pick relatively soon, so I think we could still get a solid receiver if we go running back here. So out of Derrick Henry, Sony Michel, Josh Jacobs, I definitely like Josh Jacobs the most. He's the most question marks out of all of them. But I think Sony Michel is gonna get a lot of touches, but there's a lot of guys in that backfield, and I think Josh Jacobs could be that in that solo role. So I'm gonna go with him. And I don't trust Derrick Henry really. So we're gonna go Josh Jacobs. After we pick Josh Jacobs, Kittel has been selected. After Kittel, Deshaun Watson, which is the second quarterback off the board. I would not pick Watson over Luck, even though Luck right now is not throwing in minicamp, I believe. So there's inadvertently risk with that, but I would don't think I would go Watson in the third round. I normally I don't even pick a quarterback until like the end of the draft. So after Kittle, Watson, I already said that. Then T.Y. Hilton, then Evan Ingram. See, what I was saying earlier about the tight ends is once they start going, everyone dropping it like it's hot. We need a good tight end. We need a good tight end. But no, that's just stupid because picking Evan Ingram in the third round when you could have gotten someone like, even like Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry at the end of the year is going to prove to have more value than guys like Evan Ingram. So, all right, after Evan Ingram, Tariq Cohen, my bad. Derrick Henry, O.J. Howard, another tight end, and then N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry flying up the draft boards here. I would not select him in the fourth round. I think he's more of a later, like eighth round pick, seventh round pick, sixth round, nowhere near the fourth round. I would not be touching him. You could have gotten someone like Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper, who is 90 times safer. But that's just my opinion, obviously. You can have your own, you can form your own opinion. Now, we're going to be looking at receivers. So Keenan Allen, Cooper, or Stephon Diggs here. Keenan Allen probably has the most risk due to injury. So and I think Mike Williams is going to do really good if he gets hurt. And I think that they have a lot of targets on that team, kind of like Amari Cooper. There's a lot of targets on his team, like with Witten coming back, Zeke, Cooper, Michael Gallup, guys like that. But I think we're to go Amari Cooper here because I like drafting guys like Dak, and I think when you put your quarterback and your receiver on the same team, that I like doing that. Even though I wouldn't say that's necessarily something you have to do, obviously. You don't need that to win. So we're going to go Cooper. After Amari Cooper, Phillip Lindsay, Chris Carson have been selected, two running backs, and then a receiver run goes with four flying off the board of Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen, then Darius Geis, Brandon Cooks, Sony Michel, Julian Edelman, Mark Ingram, Kenny Galladay, Sammy Watkins, Cooper Kupp. Now, let me tell you something about Cooper Kupp. He came off of an injury last year, and I don't believe in him very much because trusting someone coming back off of injury is kind of risky. Even though I drafted James Conner, I do not trust Sammy Watkins either, and Mark Ingram. I don't trust him either because I think anyone could steal that job. Like maybe not in the first few weeks, but I think Justice Hill could take his job, or guys like the Gus Bus. So now it's our pick, and we're not looking quarterback. We're looking running back here because you need to get solid running backs. Running backs win your championship, like I always say. And that running back here is going to be Kenyon Drake. I think Kenyon Drake is the safest, safer than David Montgomery. And I think that Miami is going to start running the ball because I just think that they also have a better coach than last year. And I think that uh, with quarterbacks like Fitz or Josh Rosen, they'll be able to spread the ball out more. So, yeah, and I think that Kenny Drake should get touches because if he showed a solid, not last year, he was okay last year, but the year before that, he showed that he could be a good back once Ajayi left. So we're going to go with Kenny Drake. After Kenny Drake is followed by Miles Sanders, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, Tevin Coleman, Alshon Jeffrey, Andrew Luck, David Montgomery, Calvin Ridley. Now, let me tell you something about Miles Sanders. He's on Philly. Philly wants to run running back by committee that already came out. You don't want a guy where your running back isn't a running back by committee. That's just stupid. It's a waste of an early round pick. You don't want that unless you think that he can really take over that position and be the one. Okay. So now it's my pick again. We are currently in the 6th round, and we're going to be looking running back or receiver, as always. And at this pick, I believe we can wait. I don't want Lamar Miller, so we're going to go receiver. And I think we can wait for guys like Latavius or Rashad Penny. So we're going to go, it's receiver time over here. And I like Tyler Boyd the most out of these guys up here. I think Mike Williams could be a top receiver if Keenan Allen gets hurt. But with Tyrell Williams gone, but I do believe that Boyd is better than all these guys. So we're gonna go Tyler Boyd. Where is he? He's down here. Sorry, I just kind of burped. Okay, so we're gonna go Tyler Boyd, even though he has the same buy as Michael Thomas. So after we picked Boyd, we got James White, Aaron Rodgers, Hunter Henry, another tight end, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, quarterback run, Eric Ebron, Mike Williams, Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield, DJ Moore, Jarvis Landry, Drew Brees, Latavius Murray, Carson Wentz. Fuck, Latavius Murray was picked before we could pick. I want to point out some guys here. I don't think you should be picking Cam Newton this high, coming off that injury. And I don't think that I would not want anything to do with DJ Moore, really. And I don't like Carson Wentz either. I don't want anything to do with Carson Wentz. So right now, as you can see up here, 10 out of 12 teams have a quarterback, and 7 out of 12 teams have a defense. So that's important to know because since there only one more guy needs a quarterback, that means I'm going to be getting one of these guys. And I don't think I believe you should take a quarterback before people start taking the backups. So yeah, or the backup, not actual NFL backups, but their backup for their team. So after we got Boyd, now we're gonna look running back, and that running back is gonna be Penny. I don't really like Lamar Miller. I think Penny could take the job from Carson, and with him being our third or fourth running back onto the team, I think that a bit of risk is even worth it in this situation. So we're gonna go Rashad Penny. After Rashad Penny, LaShawn McCoy, Robbie Anderson, Lamar Miller, Lamar Jackson, Christian Kirk, Allen Robinson, Will Fuller, Darrell Henderson. Now, let me bring something up here. Lamar Jackson, I think, could finish as a top 5 quarterback every single week. He's top 10 for sure by the end of the season. I think he's great. He gets a lot of points from rushing, obviously. Not that great of an arm, but I think that especially in 4-point leagues for touchdowns for quarterbacks passing, Lamar Jackson when he gets 6 points for running is obviously just getting those rushing touchdowns is key to success. I also like Will Fuller. Uh, I know he's very injury prone, so that's something you obviously have to put into consideration. But with an 8th round pick, someone who could be top 20 receiver every single week, like he's always in my lineup when he's healthy. I'll tell you that much. He's that good. And then Darrell Henderson, I think if Todd Gurley is actually that hurt, he's a for sure. He's a must pick on your team, especially if you have Gurley. But even with that must pick. So it's our pick, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs, 3 receivers. And like I always preach, you need to have more running backs than receivers on your lineup at the end of the draft because I think that it's easier to pick up a receiver off the waiver wire that will carry you to the championship than a running back. So at this pick, we are going to be going on. We're going running back or receiver, and I do not like Corey Davis. I would advise not picking him. And out of the running backs, I don't want Jordan Howard because I don't want Philly. I don't believe in Jerick McKinnon really. It's either between. I think here you have to go Royce Freeman because I think there's potential that he can be the number 1 back on that team, and I think there's potential that he could go for 1,000 yards this season. He obviously didn't do it last season, and he was drafted highly for that. But I think at this it's a discount compared to last year, and I think that it's worth it, especially when he's your 5th running back or one, two, three, yeah, 5th running back. So Rolls Royce. After Royce Freeman, Jordan Howard, Corey Davis, Jerick McKinnon, Sterling Shepard, Peyton Barber, Chicago defense. Like I always say, you can't be drafted at defense until the last round. So that guy's a fucking grade A idiot. After Chicago, Harmon was picked, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Dante Pettis, Larry Fitz, Dion Lewis, Carlos Hyde, Kareem Hunt. So now it's our pick, and as you can see here, 7 out of 12 teams have their tight end, and now every team except for me has their quarterback. So, I think we wait one more round and then pick a quarterback because I don't want people taking the quarterback that we want out of this list. So now we're going running back or receiver again. And I think Marvin Jones at this point is an absolute steal. He's better than any of the guys around him. Corey Davis, don't want him. Don't really want Kirk. Don't really want Shepard. DD Golden Tate, or I don't want Golden Tate either. DD or Marvin Jones would be the pick here, but I'm gonna go Marvin Jones. I think that the Lions will be better this year than last year. I don't think Stafford played all that well last year, and I think he's always he's a lock for 5,000 passing yards. I'm not sure about the touchdown production going between him and Galladay, Jones Galladay, and then also they got a new tight end, and they also have Kerryon Johnson that could be stealing a lot of the touchdowns towards the red zone, but I still think Marvin Jones is a solid option, especially on your bench. Some guy that you don't need week in, week out. So we're going to lock him in. He gets a solid flex option. Marvin Jones. So after Marvin Jones goes Matt Breida, Dante Moncrief, Golden Tate, Geronimo Allison, Austin Eckler, Emmanuel Sanders, Ronald Jones, Paris Campbell. Now, out of these guys, I've drafted Geronimo before, but I'm kind of not feeling Geronimo anymore. He was really good last year, but I think MVS Marquez Valdes-Scantling could have a bigger role, and I don't really know. I don't really trust. He could be like Geronimo might be the third or fourth option on the team, and you don't really want that on your fantasy lineup, especially that early in the draft in the ninth round. The guy like most that was picked was Ronald Jones. He would have been my pick next. That's why I drafted Marvin Jones. I was looking for Ronald Jones to come back on the swing, and that's why you do mock drafts because now you know that Ronald Jones. If you're picking at the eighth spot in a 12-team league, Ronald Jones may not fall to the 10th, so you may have to draft him in the ninth if you really believe in him like I do. So we're gonna go back down here, and we are going to go running back. And then, yeah, we're going to have to. Oh, never mind. We're not going to go running back yet. I'm going to preach what I said and go quarterback before anyone else picks their backup. So, the quarterbacks left available right now James Winston, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, Phil Rivers, and Josh Allen would be who I would be looking at here. Mitch Trubisky is good, but I don't really trust him to be the number one on my team. And I don't necessarily draft two quarterbacks. Like, I don't draft unless you're in a two quarterback league, I wouldn't advise drafting two. So here we're definitely looking at. I don't think Goff is the best option here, but I don't own any shares of him, and I advise that you take people that you don't have shares in. But I also don't have any shares in Jameis, and I think famous Jameis, could have a great year this year. And while he's burned me before, I think that under Bruce Arians, I think he's kind of safe. He has some good targets on his team. And if all else fails, you're going to be able to pick up guys like Josh Allen off the waiver wire anyway. So don't fret. There we go. We're going to lock in Famous Jameis. After Famous Jameis goes Donta Freeman, the guy I wanted. I looked at him. I highlighted over him. He's a good pick later in the draft. So Donta Freeman, James Washington, Curtis Samuels, Naheem Hines, Kenny Stills. Do not draft any Dolphins wide receivers. Let me tell you that right now. Devin Funches, T.J. Yeldon, D.J. Westbrook, Jalen Samuels, Herdman, Deshaun Jackson, David Njoku, Anthony Miller, Terrell Williams. At this point, we need a tight end before people also start taking backup tight ends. Some people still haven't taken tight ends, but we need a tight end. I'm not sure where the fuck those guys are. They're probably all the way at the bottom. Okay, here we are. So right now, it's looking pretty scarce, and I have yet to draft someone who I feel could have a huge breakout season, but is also injury prone. Vance McDonald. Now, Vance is someone who, like I said, is injury prone, but I think if he gets like even 10% of Antonio Brown's targets, he could be seeing like 80 targets in the season if he doesn't get hurt, or 100 targets in the season if he doesn't get hurt. So I think that later in the draft, you kind of need to take a risk at tight end and hope that it hits. So we're going to go with Vance McDonald. Okay, after we picked Vance, doing the Vance dance, Ito Smith, Michael Gallup, Kiki, Albert Wilson. As I said, don't draft Dolphins wide receivers. Dak, Jared Cook, Adrian Peterson, Duke Johnson. So now it's our pick, and we're looking down the shit running backs here. but I know who we're going to pick here. We're going to go receiver, and we're going to go with my boy, Robert Foster. I pick this guy literally every single time, every single mock draft late in the rounds, and I think the reason I do that is because he is such a good option for Josh Allen. Him and Josh Allen proved to have a connection with the final like 5-6 weeks of the season. He's a downfield stretcher. He stretches the field. I think he connects a lot with Allen, and I think that if he could potentially get 1,000 yards this year strictly off of long bombs. Like him and Allen connected for at least one 60-yard bomb. So I think that can happen multiple times this season. So I'm gonna go with Robert Foster, and especially him being our 1-2. He's our fifth receiver. Boom, we're gonna draft Robert Foster, and then as I always say, you need more running backs than receivers. So we're gonna go running back, and the running back I wanted, Devin Singletary, is gone, but there's still one more guy I like in the back of the draft, the back of the draft. So Kyler Murray, Trey Burton, Jared Goff. Now here comes the tight ends again. Delaney Walker, Mark Andrew, Hawkinson, rookie, uh, Brady, Elijah McGuire, Mike Davis, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, Kenneth Dixon, Jimmy Graham, and Kalen Ballage. So, like I always said, you don't need to draft backup quarterback. You don't need a backup tight end. I don't know if I said that right. You don't need one of those. So you do need another running back though. And looking down here, that running back is going to be Justice Hill. He's he's like pretty much your last round pick. So if he doesn't work out, I think he could work out though because he could steal the job from Mark Ingram, who I don't believe is that talented of a back. I don't think Gus Edwards is that talented of a back, and I think that Justice Hill, come week like 8 or 9, could be the starter on this team and could be racking in some serious fucking fantasy points. So we're gonna draft Justice Hill. After Justice Hill, now we see John Brown, now of the Buffalo Bills, Chris Herndon, a guy I also like at tight end, Jamal Williams, and Chris Thompson. Now it's the defense train. Now let me tell you, I tell you this every single video. You want to draft the defense that has a good schedule the first 3 weeks, and you do that by literally Googling the schedule of a team. You analyze that before the draft. You figure that out. I haven't figured that out because it's June, and then you draft based on that. So we're gonna draft the Houston Texans. I have no idea if that's a good schedule, so that part doesn't matter the draft. And then with the last pick, you need a kicker. And the way I judge a kicker is by we're gonna scroll all the way down. The way I judge a kicker is how good of a team they're on or how shit of a team they're on. I think that guys that are on better teams like who's on a good team? Maher is on a good team, so I draft him. He's on Dallas, and I think that he'll do good this season, so we'll draft him. And then that is the draft. So we got a B86 out of 100. Wow, who gives a fuck? Our finishing team, our fucking starting lineup is going to be Famous Jameis, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, Vance McDonald, Kenyon Drake, Houston defense, Brett Maher. As I say, you don't need to care about the defense or kicker in a mock draft. And then our bench is filled with guys like Tyler Boyd, Rashad Penny, Royce Freeman, Marvin Jones, Robert Foster, Justice Hill. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I hope you click that fucking subscribe button. I hope you like this. I hope you tweet at me. Things in the description, my Twitter, @NotoriousFantasy. And I hope you just have a great goddamn day. Happy Father's Day. And I hope you guys have a day. Goodbye.